I'll never forget the tremble in my dad's voice that spring morning. At 78, James Cartamy Rock, a retired aerospace engineer who'd once seemed unstoppable, sounded like a man lost. "They took my car, Emily," he said, his words cracking over the phone, "right out of our driveway. That HOA lady with the clipboard had it towed while I was napping. Said electric cars aren't allowed overnight." I nearly dropped my coffee mug, the ceramic clinking against the counter. "Dad, that's insane. They can't just tow your Tesla from our property." But they had, he told me, and now they were charging Dula $250 a day for storage, plus a towing fee. I glanced at the clock, 9:23 a.m. and grabbed my keys. "I'll be home in 20. Don't worry, Dad. We're fixing this." Dad had moved in with me 3 months earlier after a mild stroke stole some of his balance. The doctor said he could still drive, but his big ranch house was too much for him alone. My 3-bedroom place in Desert Bloom Estates, a tidy suburban Arizona community, was perfect, single-story, close to top-notch hospitals. Desert Bloom was your classic upper-middle-class set-up cactus lawns, Spanish-style homes in approved beige tones, and an HOA rulebook thicker than a dictionary. I lived there 7 years, keeping my lemon trees trimmed to regulation height and my trash cans off the curb past 7 p.m. Never had a problem. Margaret, early 60s, had a blonde bob so perfect it looked ironed, linen pantsuits that screamed, "I'm in charge," and a face like she just smelled sour milk. Neighbors called her Meddling Maggie behind her back, a jab at her obsession with controlling everyone's lives while her own husband, some oil and gas exec who was always away, stayed out of sight. She'd been a corporate compliance officer before this, and boy, did she bring that rulebook zeal to Desert Bloom. I pulled in my driveway 23 minutes later, the empty spot where Dad's sleek silver Tesla should have been glaring at me. Instead, there was an orange violation notice taped to the concrete like it was mocking us. The HOA office was a shrine to beige walls, chairs, Margaret's suit. She looked up from her desk like we'd interrupted her life's work. "Ms. Harper, Mr. Carter," she said, her smile thinner than a razor. "Hear about the vehicle violation, I presume?" I fought to keep my voice steady. "You towed my dad's car from our driveway, without warning. Show me the rule." She slid a folder across her desk. "As I told your father, electric vehicles pose fire risks, disrupt our aesthetic, and set a bad precedent." I stared at the bill. Due lot $825 total. "This isn't over," I said, standing. "I want the board meeting minutes and proof of notification." Dad put a hand on my arm as we left. "Emily, maybe I should sell the Tesla. I don't want trouble." His defeat gutted me. This was the man who'd helped build space shuttle systems, who'd raised me alone after Mom died when I was 12. "No way, Dad," I said, my resolve like steel. Margaret picked the wrong car to mess with. Next morning, I took off work for what Dad called Operation Tesla Liberation. At Saguaro Secure Storage, a guy named Chet with a mustache like a Western MOVY E-Star processed my payment, almost sheepish. "We've been getting lots of cars from Desert Bloom lately," he said. "Teslas, a REVYN, some fancy German models. All non-conforming, per that lady." I froze. "All electric?" "Mostly," he said. "New residents or VY sighters every time." At the community center, the bulletin board had nothing about the amendment. The February newsletter? A vague line about vehicle policy REVYUs. No details. At the county recorder's office, I hit gold. The filed amendment mentioned specialty vehicles like RVs and commercial trucks, nothing about electric cars. My neighbor, Clara Miller, wasn't shocked when I called. "You've crossed Maggie's eco-purge," she said. "She's been at it since her son moved back with his Tesla. She made him sell it after it got towed 3 times. Her husband's in oil, you know." The puzzle pieces clicked. I spent hours calling neighbors, building a list. 7 residents cited or towed in 2 months. All new folks or with eco-friendly cars. Over dinner, I laid it out for Dad. It's not about standards. It's personal. She's got a vendetta against green cars. He nodded, his engineer's brain kicking in. Back in the 90s, working on electric propulsion, we saw this. Some folks take progress as a personal insult. We got the Tesla back, parked it in the garage, and moved my Forester to the street. Then IVY cited Tom Nguyen, a retired attorney on the HOA board. He frowned at my documents. This isn't right. We voted on RVs and commercial vehicles, not Teslas. I'll back you at the next meeting. 5 days later, I caught Margaret snooping by my garage, clipboard in hand. Routine compliance check, she sniffed. I'm current on all rules, I shot back. And you're trespassing. Her eyes narrowed. As president, I can inspect VY Cybele areas. Non-compliance means fines or liens. She stalked off, and I felt a spark of triumph. But I knew this was war. The HOA meeting was a circus, every chair taken, people lining the walls. Margaret opened with a scowl, banging her gavel like she wanted to break it. When my agenda item came up, I laid out everything. The shady amendment, the targeted enforcement, the missing notifications. Margaret's smile was ice. But Margaret didn't quit. My forester got 4 more citations for nonsense violations. Dad's bird feeder was suddenly wildlife endangerment. My desert plants? 3 were non-approved, despite being HOA recommended. Then, the unthinkable. Dad's Tesla vanished from our garage. He called me at work, fury in his voice. They got in somehow. Emily left a notice about public display through the garage window. I raced home with a cop, Officer Diaz, who spotted scratch marks on the garage lock. My doorbell camera showed 2 guys in unmarked uniforms breaking in, a Desert Bloom golf cart in the background. This is breaking and entering, Diaz said, and Grand Theft Auto. The tow company cracked, producing a work order signed by Margaret, complete with our garage code from HOA records. That night, the Tesla was back, and Margaret was at the police station. At an emergency board meeting, Tom, now interim president, apologized. Margaret resigned. The amendment was scrapped, and affected residents got refunds. Our CIVYL suit against Margaret ended with a settlement. Legal fees, damages, and a 5-year HOA ban for her. She got misdemeanor trespassing, community SARE VYC, and skipped town with her husband. Desert Bloom changed. Tom's board rewrote the bylaws, added fair enforcement rules, and welcomed electric cars with 2 new charging stations, partly funded by a grant Dad helped secure. A year later, the community held an innovation fair, Dad's Tesla the star. Kids climbed in, wide-eyed, as he explained its tech. Times change, he said, grinning. Sometimes folks need a pusher or a lawsuit. I laughed. Yeah, that too. As the sunset bathed our street in gold, I realized fighting for what's right, even over a car, can reshape a community for the better. So what do you think? Was Margaret just a control freak, or was her oil and gas family pulling strings? Should HOAs have this much power over your property? And how far would you go to protect your rights? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories that'll make you think twice.